Hey, Gabriella.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yep. How are you today?
Not too bad. How are you doing?
Pretty good. What time is it there?
It's just before 6 in the morning. So still feeling a little groggy.
I get it.
Whereabouts are you?
I am in the United States in Pennsylvania,
Okay.
so it's 2 p.m. here.
2 p.m. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think when we have the daylight saving, I think it'll push it back to 5 a.m. in the morning, which is going to be tricky. But it's still manageable. It's still not 2 a.m. in the morning, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yep. It can be tough to get in on a meeting. Getting up that early is, you know,
I know,
not too
I know.
crazy, but a meeting, to be prepared, especially if you're a hot seat, like making sure you're prepared.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
So
Yeah,
I
I think
understand
I
that.
think Chris I think Chris was doing is doing a training I think tomorrow on email copywriting, and I really wanted to attend, but it is going to be like 4 in the morning, which is a little tricky. But look, they always do replays, so I'll still get something out of that, so that's fine.
Yeah. I worked with a gentleman from New Zealand a few years
Right.
ago, and all of our meetings were it was like 7 p.m. my time. So I was working after, and he was, because he had like a law firm, but he was opening up an online like outdoor store too, and the time zone difference is huge. So
I know. Look, it's still manageable. It's still manageable. So yeah, yeah, we'll see how we go. Oh, it looks like there's a few more people
Hello,
hanging on.
friends.
I guess.
howdy.
How
So
are
I
you?
I just met Brian Zakansky in person, and he is the tallest man. He is so tall. You would never know sitting right here, but he's like at least
Really?
three heads higher than me. I think he'll give you a run for your money, Kevin.
Wow, that's exciting. I can't wait to see him. Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw a picture of him that he's here. That's exciting. Well, hey, everybody. We are here Rachel and I are both here in Tampa, right outside where I live in St. Pete. The Copy Accelerator event is right now. So we're here to hobnob, and I'm speaking on a panel for them tomorrow. And so it's been cool to be out, and just was talking to my friend Ian Stanley. It's good to see Ian and some folks I haven't seen in a long time. So that's all very cool. Always out here obtaining new wisdom. What's your takeaway so far, Rachel? You were here yesterday for some of it, and this morning.
That we have really good training inside Copy Chief. That was a big takeaway. I just felt like, I think a lot of times you go places and it's like, oh, I know more than I think I do, and things like that. But just that we've got such good training here, and I'm just very proud of what we've built. And it's like when you see other people doing things well, and you're like, oh yeah, ours definitely stands up to that. That's a good feeling. But also that, man, live events are just such a game changer for getting clients. And I love virtual events. And I think we did an incredible job with Copy Chief live virtual event, but I'm so excited to like be on the ground at live events again, because it's such a big difference. Just being able to like stand in front of someone and stare in their eyes, and for networking, getting clients and learning, it's just, there's really not a replacement for that.
It's true. I just ran into this guy, it was like a chance encounter. He'd never really kind of heard of me, and so he didn't know me, and he's brand new to our world. And he's in 5 minutes telling me this unbelievable life story and about his grandparents, and we just connected, and we're both like, you're cool. You're cool too.
Want to be friends?
It's like, let's be buddies. I was like, things like that don't quite happen in these little square boxes. So it's going to be great. And speaking of that, we've got our event we call it an event or a little or gathering coming up in a couple weeks. Rachel, that's very exciting. And of course, you guys are always invited to those. I hope we're going to get the date for the next one as soon as possible. So hopefully you can make plans to be there with us, because those are even better, because it really is just sort of the hangout part. We'll do some hot seats and we'll have, probably a guest speaker. Like this time we have Roy Peter Clark coming, and we'll have some special gifts and surprises and things. But mostly we're going to spend time together and like eat long meals and take long walks and really just chat. And I feel like that's where a lot of the answers come. It's not just like a flood of information where you have to sort through whether things are relevant to you. It's the conversations and the way you hear yourself talk about your business sometimes to other people, especially who kind of get what you do. And certainly that's the case in this group, right? So we're excited to start doing more of that. And
I met 3 or 4 copywriters from Europe that are going to come join us in London too. So they were excited about that. Sweet. Yeah. So we got cool. Some recruits to come hang out. So that's awesome.
Very cool. Yeah. So cool. All right. Well, I want to make this all about you guys. Rachel, I want to make sure we don't miss any. Do we still need the Thursday thing, or are we going to switch that over to the other format for the work?
No, we're still doing that. So for Thursday's co-working call, I'm traveling. I think, Kevin, you're also on the road. So we're looking for a volunteer who wants to host the call. And all that really takes is you get on and you have everyone state what they want to work on for the next hour. And then you set a timer for an hour, and then everyone goes and works on it, and you come back at the end of the hour and say, okay, how'd we do? And so is anyone planning to be on that call and wants to be our host, that we could have you log in and just start the Zoom call for us?
I'll be there.
Who
You'll
said
be
that?
there, Joanne? Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. So you're okay if I have Lolita from our team connect with you, and then she can get you the Zoom info and we can just have you host?
Sure.
Awesome.
I'll try not to screw it up.
Oh, no, you'll be fine. It's okay. No one knows what they're doing anyway. Great. I'll have Lolita connect with you then. Thanks,
we don't ever record. So if everything goes horribly wrong, just say, no, it was great.
You're like, oh, fine.
We'll have no idea.
Awesome.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Joanne. Awesome. Cool. And so by the way, just a reminder that those are there. Put them on your calendar. Again, it's like there's nothing to it but to do it and just show up. And there's something about it that just, to do focused work, and it's truly like a co-working environment. And it's just if you haven't tried one or you're skeptical, I would definitely show up and do it, because it's just nice to know you're putting aside an hour of time to work on your stuff, to focus on your stuff. Some of the stuff we all talk about doing in here and somehow don't get to as much as we'd like to, because we've got prioritizing client work, which I know I did for a very long time. So groovy. And co-coach office hours calls are always Wednesday, Rachel?
Yep, always on Wednesday. So there's usually one Wednesday a month that we don't do it, because we have 3 coaches in 4 weeks in the month. But every Wednesday around noon, I think, is when they do them, but they're on the Accelerator calendar. So make sure you guys use those, because that's your support in between these calls. If you want to get face-to-face, look at somebody's eyeballs and get their ideas. And of course, Melanie and Angie and Amanda, they're just amazing at copy. If you want critiques on your copy, if you want help with pricing or your bat signal, then get on those calls and pick their brains. That's your chance. So make sure you use those.
And they're sort of your first point of contact in the threads, right? So the more you're connecting with them and the more they know what you're up to, even if it feels like you don't have anything. It always strikes me when we have our list of hot seats, and then I read through and see everybody's like progress updates, and I'm like, oh, I wish that was a hot seat, because we need to kind of follow up on, when I say jump on next week and let's follow up, like I'm really serious, because I want to see what happened. We kind of make these plans together, and it's cool for everybody to see how things progress. And so I hear all the time, Rachel, of like, did you know this person is working with that company now or whatever? And I'm like, oh, really? When did that happen? Like, why aren't we celebrating? It's like a big win. And, it's funny. So engagement is key. All right, cool. Well, let's rock and roll. Hi, Nina. Nice to see you. Okay, I think Yusuf is up first.
Yep.
All right, let's do it.
Hey, Kev.
Hey, buddy, how are you? Good to see you.
How you doing?
Good. So you want
Yes.
to just check in and start talking about first goals?
Yeah, just check it in. So I've had a call. Actually, Tier 11 reached out last week. They were like, hey, man, we're in trouble. We have this new account. We're behind schedule. We need a bunch of copy for the next 24 hours. Can you help us? And I was
Mhm.
like, yeah, I'm the man. Bring it on. Did that. And then they started talking about going working in-house with them.
Mhm.
I was like, yeah, maybe. So that's kind of in the pipe
Have
right now.
you'd worked with them in the past, right?
Yeah, I've been working with them for like 7 months now.
Just part-time, like project work, or is it project?
Yeah,
work?
project work.
Not even a retainer?
No, not a retainer.
Interesting. Cool. All right. So how do you feel about that?
I think it might be a good thing, honestly,
Hmm.
because yeah, I mean, it's a good company. They're great people to work with.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the dream gig where you get all the metrics and all the stuff and you progress and that kind of stuff, but it's still one of the best gigs out there. So if they're
And so,
interested, maybe I'll go in-house with them, but not full-time, but more of a part-time position.
yeah. What does that entail for them in-house? A certain amount of hours, you have to be on meetings. How is
Yeah,
it?
so that's, I said, look, dude, like if I'm gonna be on meetings 2 hours a day, every day, like that's not gonna work for me. He said, no, like it's the same thing. It's just that we have certain hours of your time dedicated for us. I said, okay, that would work for me.
Mhm. Cool. And would it move to like W-2? Is there any benefits, anything like that, or is it still?
No, it's a contractor thing,
Okay.
1099.
Yep. Yeah. So what are your, I mean, look, I always think when you can get some steady money, is a few just criteria I think we should use when we're entertaining an offer like this. And look at all the ways it benefits you, and then list any ways you think it might potentially hurt you or set you back. And just assess, because what I always want to remind people in these scenarios is it's not a forever thing, right? And that's why it's just important to make sure the contract represents your intent. So is it 90 days at a time? Do they want you to commit to a year? Say, okay, but we got to check in at 90 days kind of thing, right? And that's really important, especially with a company like that that's so big and so and growing, and they have so many projects going at any given time. Because just like the call you got, hey, 24 hours, and you're like, bring it on, great, worked out for you. You don't want that when there's a set expectation and they decided to stretch themselves thin and they want to hand that ball of shit off to you, right? And so, you got to make sure that they're going to respect the terms of, because, project to project, one of the risks of going in-house full-time can be that they start treating you like an employee and just assuming it's like, let's just stretch Yusef's bandwidth and let's listen for the squeal and then we'll know we went too far. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't want that scenario,
Gotcha. Yeah, so to give you some context, there was somebody else working on that project and he
Mhm.
just dropped the ball. He was like a week behind, I think.
Okay.
So that's
Oh, well,
why
okay.
they
So it's
turned
not
to
like
me.
they just brought it in. It was a true.
No,
Right,
like the typical turnaround for them is like 3 days to a week,
Okay.
sometimes
Yeah.
more. Like
That's
it's the first time I have this
Yeah.
situation.
Okay,
so.
good. That's good to know, because again, I'm just gonna say you've been working with 7 months, so you know way a lot more than I do how they operate.
Yeah.
I just those are the common things to just be, you just gotta, like, it is as protective as you may be about your scope and bandwidth. You usually need to ramp that up at least 10-20% when you get in the early days, because it's just easy to say, oh well, they're a steady client, so I'll do this extra thing or whatever. But that's good to know. So what, do you have any hesitation about doing it?
So right now we're just kind of discussing all this because it's the
Okay.
copy chief who told me about this, right?
Yeah.
Aaron.
Aaron, yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
Aaron,
cool.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So I said, hey, like, who do you think I should reach out to? He said, this person. Send her a message, say, yeah, we're thinking about it, and what would be the ideal outcome for you, and that kind of stuff. But it's there for now. Like, nothing is official or anything.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I would say, you know, whatever. Yeah. So if you want to reach out and help, let us help when you're negotiating. You know, we've done that for a lot of members. It's like, and it's usually, you know, just remember everything's a negotiation. And you know, you're in a good position. You've proven your value. They've already told you you've added a lot of value. And so it's not that anybody's trying to get away with anything. I always say this to anybody I'm in negotiation with them. So it's either going to work or it isn't. Meaning like, you know, we can afford you or we can't. And then if we can't, maybe we can afford some of you and then grow together. And so there's all kinds of scenarios. Just make sure you don't compromise and not, you always have to push because they're not going to just say no and turn and run all of a sudden because you said higher number.
Right.
You're going to come to the number that everybody's comfortable with. So make sure you play your part in that.
Okay, cool. Aside from that, I applied on Yara Golden website.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I got nothing. I sent her an email a week
Yeah.
after that. I was like, hey, I was chatting with Kevin, blah, blah, blah. Nothing. I followed up, same thing. So I dropped the ball on that.
Well, you dropped the ball or they're not. They
I mean,
didn't-
she's not, I mean,
Oh,
I'm not
you
following
put
up
it to rest,
anymore.
please.
You know what I mean?
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, thanks for letting me know that. I will reach out to her. You know, it's usually when that happens, it's a bandwidth thing, but you know, they know how important it is to me. And I would think to them that, you know, I'm starting an email to her right now because I just want to, and I'll just politely ask, hey, are you still hiring? Because, you know, I'm hearing people are reaching out and not hearing back. So I'll let you know.
And I have a one-off project. It was a referral client, thanks to Anna. And what
That's
do I
Facebook-
have?
Facebook ads.
Yeah, Facebook ads again. And another thing, what was it? Yeah, and somebody reached out yesterday and was like, hey, I love your writing. Would you like to move forward in the hiring process? And it's right now it's a test, like 2 emails or something. And I said yes. It's a brand, they work with financial influencers, but more on a personal brand kind of thing. So it's pretty interesting. We'll see how that goes.
Okay, good. It says here you're embracing email as your specialty.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And so the people you're talking to, are they coming to you for email or still mostly for Facebook ads or?
It's it's a mix, man. Sometimes it's email, sometimes it's Facebook ads. Like I'm not very picky right now because, you know, I don't have a lot that's going on. So
Yeah, that's it. Keep the money coming. But what are you doing to position yourself and embrace sort of that bad signal of email?
applying to gigs. That's all I'm doing right
Specifically
now.
about email? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Have you labeled yourself email copywriter anywhere like in your
Like on
profile?
social media and stuff?
Yeah.
Not yet.
I would do that, man. Just start dipping your toe in the authority water on that.
Okay.
And, you know, show your work and show what you're studying. If you're breaking down emails for yourself or, you know, what kind of stuff really stands out to you? What kind of stuff would you love to write? You know, do you want to be, you know, raucous and and shake people up like Chris O and Ben Settle, or are you more into, you know, the persuasive aspects of it, the storytelling aspects of it? You know, just start to meet yourself as an expert in email and don't wait too long to start sharing those views. What, you know, whether it's just in Copy Chief or wherever, like start to exercise your expertise so that, you know, when you get on calls with people, I always found like so many times something would come up that I happened to be studying or thinking about, and I can sound real educated about it just because of my own study, right? And that goes a long way with clients. And so, you know, but if I wasn't doing that, it would have just passed right by, and the opportunity to actually, speak like an authority would have not been there. So you're doing the study, and like examine your own study, even if you just keep a private journal or however you want to do it right now. You don't have to like go build a website and say, I'm the next great email copywriter. But you know, take assessment of your own study and keep that in mind as you start talking to people more about it.
Actually, I started the YouTube channel a few weeks ago, did some
Okay.
breakdowns there, and then I was
Cool.
like, is this a good moment to do that? Right. So I just stopped.
Is that because of the turmoil in the world, or what made you?
No, I just stopped because I thought to myself, hey, like, go do shit. You know what I mean? Like, go to work, then come and do breakdowns. You know what I mean?
I appreciate you saying that. I do think that happens sometimes, that people skip the in the trenches actually learning and seeing results part. And just start.
I don't want to be that person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you. So I respect however you're feeling about that. I'm not gonna push you against that. I will say this, you know, if you genuinely have something to share that from work you did with the client, saw a surprising result, were challenged to write a different type of email, whatever, and feel like you learned something in the process, 100% legit for you to share that. But you don't have to go like create a, like, don't look behind the curtain. You don't have to be present just to be present. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Like, but whenever you have a moment, I also don't want you to hesitate when you have a genuine moment where you just grew. You can feel yourself grow, and it's like people should see you grow.
Gotcha. Like, talk if you have something to say, right?
Exactly. That's it. 100%. Cool.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's a good check-in, man. See, everybody, like, that was like, so we're not out to solve any major issue here, but I love being able to check in with Yusef and just hear where he's at and feel like I can be in his head a little bit, making some of these decisions. Like, this is what this is all about. So great check-in, Yusef. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, man.
Cool. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
Tim.
I scrolled down. Oh, yes, Tim. Awesome. Hey, Tim.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you.
How are you doing? How are things coming along?
They're coming along far better than a week ago. I think whenever I see these emails and like things always seem to come at like odd times, like the quarterly assessment and the little email, I don't know if it's automated email or whatever, just like check-ins, like, how are you doing? The little 9-word email.
The ship's going down.
It's like I was just not in a good spot last week for a couple of days. I was in a pretty dark place, and I'm in like, I have some clarity now. So lots of positivity. I'm in a very good place mentally now. And so I actually got a lot of value out of the discussion that was just taking place. So just for me, identifying as an email copywriter primarily, because I've been kind of I work for an agency or contract with an agency like 30 hours a week. So it takes up quite a bit of my time. And I just recently, so my first hot seat, I kind of explained my situation there. It was like 2 months ago now, I think. And I was doing a bunch of different things, digital marketing strategy, and then email and all of this other stuff. And I was having a hard time changing hats within, like switching out of strategy mode to go into creative mode to write.
All in the same 30 hours.
Yeah. And so, or sometimes even within the same day, a lot of times within the same day, going from like thing to thing. And
right. And
so I just had a conversation, but I was in Tampa for a mastermind last weekend. And before I left for that, I had a conversation with the agency owner, and I was like, dude, I can't do this like this way. If you want me to do my best work, I cannot do this. Because I'm dropping the ball on too many things, trying to switch gears, and because it takes time for me at least to be able to switch back and forth. And And
Mhm.
so he was good with that, and so that's a plus, plus one, like dialing in, focusing number one, just more on copy in general, for
Yeah.
kind of full funnel copy to, not just email, but for the agency. And
And
so
did he say to you like were you able to say this is how I think I'd be better used, and he agreed?
yeah, well, it was more of, I had a ton of like things on my plate that weren't getting done. Like if I was going to stay up 24 hours for a week, I was just having trouble switching
Yeah.
back and forth between things, and just stuff wasn't getting done. And then like going in and out of like long strategy meetings with clients, and it's almost like a full-time thing, right? It was a
Right.
full-time thing, but trying to do like three different positions
Right. Right.
all in the same day was very, very hard for me. And I was having trouble operating at
Right.
100%
So
doing that.
I'm curious how you solved it. Did he say, well, I still need you to do all these things, but we can schedule your time better so you're not having to jump from thing to thing, or did they eliminate some of those things from what you're doing?
So they eliminated the strategy part. So, and it actually didn't take my like compensation down at all, which was
Good.
kind of wild, because then my hour, like I'm still spending that 30 hours, but I'm able to do a lot more within my capacity, get more stuff done faster, as they onboard more clients that for the big strategy package they sell, then I can execute
Right. Yeah.
the full funnel copy for that.
Great.
Instead of being in meeting strategy and just
Right.
bouncing around too much.
Excellent. Very good. So, so that kind of solved that immediate issue. What else is, where else do you want to focus?
Yeah, so the mastermind that I went to in Tampa last week was for I'll call it a test project for a client in like a big like I'll say a big network. I mean, it's like over 1,000 like high level business owners.
Mhm.
And there's like a top tier in that group, like an executive tier of people that pay a pretty hefty sum every month to be like at that level of like coaching within that I was called another mastermind.
Yeah.
And so the person I did the project for is in that high level, and so that test project, and so I need to get a proposal set or like drafted for continuing work with her, because I never really lined out a proposal originally, and that was my fault for not doing that. So that's why I called it a test project, because it was
Yeah.
unpaid. I didn't like accept any compensation for it, but I got feedback in the forum from Angie. It was a piece of funnel copy, and so I'm going to rewrite that. And that's why I went to the event last weekend, because it was kind of like a step before they would apply for this coaching, just to kind of get a better feel for it, right? Because the experience of what they would get in the coaching, it was hard for me to write that and get that out of the client to be able to write it. The show
Yeah.
not tell. And
Right.
so, and this network, I'm kind of there are a couple other copywriters in there, but like I have my eyes set on writing copy for the executives. Like I want to
Yeah.
go all the way,
Cool.
and write for these high earning people,
Yeah. So it sounds like, is it okay? And so test project, you did it. This is good, by the way. Again, if we're using our profit pie, then this very much falls into the dev category, and you 100%. It's nice to get paid something, but there's nothing wrong with however you arrange it, if the goal is to develop first knowledge and insight to what could be a really valuable part of your business. And, you can also use, let's just call it even, it could be in motive too, right? It's like, I'm exploring this because I find it interesting and I think there's value in it for me learning. I'm just exploring. It's like R&D, you're spending your time and energy and resources. If you're paying yourself your EHR theoretically, which I recommend everybody doing, it's like, that's, an easy way to push back when somebody says, hey, could you? And you want to go, yeah, sure. Imagine if you had to actually pay yourself for that time and like transfer the money from one account, it's just a good way to remember that everything you do is worth, money. But anyway, I'm here to say, like, this is a good thing, Tim, that you're doing this. And I don't want to go down a rabbit hole you're not asking for. So I'll stop and say, are you conflicted at all about doing this or how you arranged it with this test project client? Because if so, I might have some feedback that'll help. But if you want to go somewhere else, we can do that.
I think that's accurate because I said, I didn't submit a proposal or even, it was my first. I've done email copy for a long time, or email marketing. I won't call it email copywriting for a while. And I had my set price per email that I did for every client. And this was my first time writing funnel copy, for someone else. And I didn't know what to charge. This was before I joined Copy Chief. And so I didn't even really know what to charge. So I was like, I'm just going to write this. She asked me what investment, and I was like, I don't know. I was just honest with her. I'm an honest guy. I was like, this is like new to me, like this style of writing. Like I can write it, but it's new because I've written.
How's free? I like free.
No, she didn't say that. She never said that. I just said that. I was like at the end, I was like,
let's just see how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I made some other I invested in going to her. That was I paid for that trip down to Tampa, because I was like, this is an investment for me in her,
Right.
I wanted to get that experience so I could write better
Yeah.
copy for her. Cause it's not just that piece either. She needs help with other like email and probably ad copy and other things. So
yeah,
I need, yep.
It's a courting period. Nothing wrong at all with everything you're doing here. I think it's great. So just a couple things I want to say real quick as our time runs out, just because this will be valuable for everybody. In the future, now you probably, hopefully have your backstage pricing. And again, just remember in the beginning, like all the numbers are flexible, okay? Like sometimes people get so hung up on an EHR or, other numbers, and they bring like a scientific approach to making that come true with every client. And it can be hurtful. It can keep you from starting a relationship that might otherwise be really valuable. So I'm an advocate for how you're going about this, Tim. In the future, an easy way to answer the how much question and still be very honest is to say a version of, well, I'll tell you what, I haven't done a project that entails everything we're talking about doing together. And I would find that, there's some value for me in learning this. And so I think we can arrange something where I do some work for you up front and we focus on the outcome first, and then we can talk about formalizing things, right? And because here's what you want to do. You always want to have a price of what it's worth. And so even if you just use your current backstage pricing, and how we do, we get our dollar bill, right? And we say, if I'm working this many hours at this price, then I'm going to earn this 10 grand or whatever it is. And so now you're just guessing on the amount of time you're going to have to invest with her, and then you can put it in stages. Point is, you want to make it clear to the client that, oh, this is taking a lot of Tim's time. This is like, big investment on his part, but because he likes me and you know, he sees a lot of potential in what we could do together, he's willing to make this investment. But there's still an agreement, there's still a contract, there's still deliverables for you and for them. In every other way except the actual price, it is a real project. And it's so important to do that, Tim, because number one, the most important thing is they don't see it as free work anymore, and they won't blow off getting you what you need to do great work. They'll see it as a partnership, a gift, really, where you're willing to do this work up front to see the outcome together. And if you can reach an agreed upon goal, then they will pay you your normal fee, and even maybe more than that based on a certain outcome. Okay. So you can still take all the friction away of not knowing the price or not wanting to say the price, or you're afraid like, they're going to run if I tell them it's $5,000 or whatever it is. It's okay. But it's really still important that you treat it like a business transaction. Then they won't treat you like something they're getting for free. They won't disrespect your time. They'll make sure they won't put off getting you the stuff you need. They'll have the phone call with you to do the deep dive, and you know what I mean? And it's just really good practice for you to conduct business that way. And so it's just an easy way to, and look, sometimes we just gotta like bite our lip and say the words we were like taught to say and shut up, and then be delighted when somebody's like, yeah, sounds great, I'll send you the money. And you're like, oh my God, it worked, like that's okay too. And I want you to do that. But if your instinct is like, oh my God, I really want to do this, but I have no idea what to charge, so I'm just going to charge nothing. Next time, just don't say those words, and say, I think I have a way that we can do this. Let me get back to you tomorrow and I'll propose something. That's all. You don't have to say a number in real time, and then you come to us, you come to your coach and you go, here's my situation. And, you could have even started with whatever fee you think it's worth. And if they go, oh God, geez, no, I'm sorry, I could never afford that, and blah, blah, blah. And then the second level is, okay, well, I have another idea, because I really do want to do this project with you for these reasons. And so how about this? How about you just pay me on the back end? Oh my God. Now they really know the gift, because they were presented with something they literally couldn't afford. You know what I'm saying? So I hope that's all helpful. That's what I wanted to share, because these are good scenarios. We just don't ever have to admit again, I don't have to charge, so I'm going to charge nothing. You get one on that. It's perfectly fine this time.
Thank you, man. That helps out a lot. Appreciate it.
Cool. All right. And the coaches all know about how to frame these. So reach out whenever you're in this scenario again.
Okay, we'll do.
Okay, buddy. Good stuff. Okay, let's talk to Gabriella. I'm always excited to check in with, and thank you for being up in the middle of the night.
Hi, Kevin. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you. How's everything going?
Yeah, not too bad. The reason I wanted to jump on a hot seat is because I think I've lost a bit of momentum. I do have a client that I work with, but it's mostly content writing. So I'm producing content for them on a monthly basis, just a few long form articles. But the rest of the time I've been pretty much focusing on trainings, because I really want to get as much as I possibly can, fill those gaps in my skills. I've finished EV. I'm now slightly halfway through Chris's email copywriting course, which is fantastic, because I really want to focus on email as my money skill. But I think what's happening is that I am spending a lot of time on trainings and on the platform, and obviously creating some authority content, to create a bit of momentum that way. And it's just taking time away from
the work.
Yeah, that's right, to kind of build that confidence. So what's happened is that I feel like I've lost momentum with copywriting clients. And I think because I've lost momentum, I've lost a bit of confidence. On the other hand, perhaps I've lost a bit of confidence and I've lost momentum. It could be a combination of the two. But I think that when you're immersed in trainings, sometimes you see where you should be.
Right.
And then you feel that you kind of fall slightly short. And then it makes me a little nervous to approach potential clients with my new money skill, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
So that's that's pretty much the yeah, I guess it's a mindset issue,
Yep.
but that's what I'm grappling with at the moment.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, it is sort of like it's this curse of knowledge, you know. Where
That's right. That's right.
you always see, you know, I remember in comedy, they have these festivals, you know, with stand up. Monterey or Montreal's a big one, Aspen, and that's where all the comics would get development deals. And every year there'd be this group of sort of like OG comics who are like the best club comics in the world. Maybe they've done a little TV and they're there and they kill the room the hardest. And then there'll be these newbies who come in and they're just like, oh shucks, I can't believe I'm here. And then they have like a killer set and they leave with the development deal. Like here's $100,000, move to LA. And you know, everybody's like, well, this person's hopefully he's going to like catch up to what just happened to them. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Point is, ignorance can be bliss when you're just like showing up and having fun and doing the thing. Like I get to do this, right? And so all the training and all the examples of how it's supposed to be done and all that, or you know, can ruin the fun. And that feels like, you know, that's kind of what's happening. And so I don't know how to tell you to just like, forget you know any of that. I'll just remind you that it's something I've been thinking a lot about lately is like, man, we just work so much better when we're laughing a little bit and feeling loose and having fun. And like the best ideas come from that. You know, when Rachel and I get together, like, we'll sit down and do, you know, an hour sometimes of like, all right, we got to decide this and we got to like, but for the most part, we're laughing our asses off and having a great time. And that's like the best ideas come from those moments, right? Or just hanging out and because your brain just operates a different way. And so all I can say to you and everyone is like, there's no way that straining will make you better. It just doesn't, you know, you know, think of like sports, you know, you ever have, I don't know if you play any sports, but it's like, sometimes you just do some move, like you've only seen other people do it. And you're like, I didn't know my body could do that. And you like catch the ball or whatever. You're like, that was amazing. And it's like, cause you didn't think about it. Like you didn't even have time to go, oh, I need to reach out there and then turn and make sure you just like did it. And you're like, oh my God. Right? So, you know, writing is like that. I remember the exact moment, Gabriella, when I felt like I got it as a copywriter. And I'd been working with clients, you know, and it was something that I was just writing and writing and writing. And it was almost like, it just went, whoosh. It was like this, I crossed over like through some like blurry, invisible barrier and went, oh, you know, and all it was this simple concept that I was like, and this is going to sound so stupid, but it was literally like, oh, everything I write has to be answer the question, how is this a benefit to the reader? I mean, that was it. I mean, you kidding? How could you even start writing something called copy if you didn't know that? But what happened in that moment was I realized, oh, I understood that conceptually. I just wasn't actually performing it. It was almost like learning an instrument or something. It's like, okay, I can play 2 chords and make a sound that sounds like rock and roll. But then you do a scale and you're like, oh, that connects to that. You know what I mean? Whatever analogy. And so however you can make yourself or stop yourself from letting the fun leave the room, it gets hard. That only gets harder as we go, because now we have deadlines and now we have clients and now we go, you know, and all the business stuff gets into it. Really make sure that some part of it is fun for you. And I promise you, if you just meet clients where they are, no one's going to make you feel stupid or ask you questions you can't answer. And if they do, you just go, that's a really good question. Let me look into that and get back to you tomorrow. We're not on the hot seat when we're on prospect calls, you know. And so if you can just eliminate those fears and concerns, and it's like the great Tom Petty line, it's like, most things I worry about never happen anyway. It just probably won't, you know. And so it's natural what you're feeling and some of this stuff, but yeah, if you can trust the process, I think it'll serve.
Yeah, look, that makes sense. And what you're talking about, you know, when you're doing a job and you're in the zone, I've been there before. I just need to get there again. And look, there've been times when, you know, I've been working with a client and they wanted something that I've never done before, you know, but because we've got a relationship, I've done it. And basically you fly by the seat of your pants, you do the relevant research, you put something together and they love it. So, you know, that's happened before. So I know I can get there. It's just that, yeah, I seem to have, just lost a bit of confidence because I'm not actually actively working with a lot of clients at the moment. So yeah, I think you kind of lose that capacity.
Yeah. So you're right. You're losing the ongoing evidence that, oh,
That's right. Exactly.
So how can we change that? Like, what changed to where you're not working with as many? I know, you know, you left the bookstore thing because that was a big like time suck and
that's right.
Book selling. Where are you at and what's changed and how can we adjust it?
Look, I probably do have time for new clients, and I did apply for a couple of jobs that I didn't get, and there was one referral where, you know, it was just, you know, sent them a proposal. I mean, it was sounding really like it was sounding really positive. Then I sent them a proposal with the proposed cost, and then I never heard from them despite follow-ups. But what I did on that particular project was that I followed a lot of the protocols that I was learning through EV, and I actually bumped up my price. And maybe it was out of his budget, but yeah, I didn't end up hearing back from them. And I figure that after 2 follow-ups, I don't really want to harangue him, even though it was an interesting project and I was really excited about the product. But yeah, I guess you have to just let those ones go.
You do, but I'm under my latest line on this is.
Right.
And I think we probably said this, and Rachel and I always hear from other copywriters who end up having to hire copywriters. The one thing they always come back to us and say, please tell them to follow up more because I am busy and the person I might have wanted to hire, I just forgot about. And it's the one who got in front of me when I was ready, who ended up hiring. And so please, it's almost a rude ask. Because in a perfect world, we'd all respect everybody and communicate better. But when it comes to business owners, so now my line is at least twice more than you're comfortable with. Twice more than you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
You're cringing to say again. And the other thing is it's how you say it. So we have a minute.
Yeah.
So look at how my guess, Gabrielle, as you very politely said, started with just wanted to ping you again to see if you are ready to move forward, or just thought right? Kill the just. There is no more justice. They're mistreating you now. There's no just. Just is dead because they're not. And I would be, and so what I like to do is be a little more firm and say, again, you're not coming off like a jerk. I used to like write in my subject line, I would say like final chance kind of winking emoji thing.
Yeah.
And just say, hey, before I erase this off my follow-up list, I just wanted to make sure I'm correct in assuming we're not moving ahead because I haven't heard from you. And that's it. That's the whole email.
Yeah.
And that's because if they read that and they've intended to get back to you, they will stop and go, oh shit, you know? And so make sure you send that one as the last one. And then you.
Okay. My previous one said that my calendar was filling up. So I was checking in, but look, I'll give it one last shot and see what happens.
Good. Yeah, we just got to let them know, like you're about to, it's sales 101 and we don't think to do it for her, but it's true and it's genuine. And people, believe me, every time Rachel and I like launch something, we're like, it'd be so great if we didn't have to send 6 emails over the last 2 days, but every time you do it, people buy and they thank you. And then 6 more people come and go, oh, that ended yesterday. Oh, I just saw it here. So it's just human nature. So you're not being a
Yeah.
pest, you're being persistent, and look, that's the kind of client you want. And if they're ghosting you, like never, they're truly ghosting you, be glad you didn't work
Yeah,
with them because
yeah,
they were going to suck.
yeah.
It's on them.
Great. Thanks, Kevin.
All right. Yeah, keep checking in. I'm excited to see how things are going. Awesome. Okay, Mary. All right, we get to talk to Mary.
Hey, Kevin.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. That last discussion is really helpful for me. Thank you. Especially the
good.
language thing. Just checking in.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Teach from scars.
it's yeah, it's a female thing, and yeah, confidence thing for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to check in. See, I just wanted to check in
Thank
too.
you. Yeah.
You're,
I think I asked you. I think I ribbed you into.
yeah. Ow. Through the Zoom.
Yeah. No, I
So
like
my current
So tell me what's
strategy.
going
So
on.
yeah. My current thinking is to try to get hired with an agency for part-time work instead of going for my own clients, at least right now. Thinking that'll help me with confidence, getting faster, and having some income coming in so I can be an adult and have a transition between my corporate job and freelancing full-time. So I applied at Moxie Copywriting, but I haven't heard back yet. It's been about a week and a half, so I'll follow up on that. And Amanda also suggested I check out Conscious Copy. Now I'm thinking, well, I was going for email, but a lot of these agencies obviously really want Facebook ads. So I thought, well, maybe I should go get that so I can offer both Facebook ads and email if I really want to do work for an agency. And yeah. Wanted your
So let's
thoughts.
talk. Remind me, Mary, how long you sort of been at this, and what your portfolio is like what's in there, what lights you up?
Yeah, welcome sequences and nurture sequences. I did one for a handmade soap brand. I did one for my husband who's working on a guitar teaching program. So
Awesome.
that's in progress, but I have the email sequence ready to deliver the video course for him. Yeah, that's the kind of personal brand and
Okay, good.
e-com.
Yeah. What's the corporate job?
A tech company doing commissions accounting. Yeah.
Okay. So there's knowledge there.
Yeah.
Have you kind of done your copywriting DNA matrix and come up with all the things you can call it, insider info?
Yeah, I did visit that. I should probably go back and take another pass through that. That would be helpful.
Yeah, and it's not about having to choose 3 categories of people, that you can only work with, but it just, again, it's one of those things like if we keep that little part of our brain active in looking for opportunity, if we remember like, oh, tech startup, SaaS company,
That's sure.
It just, you make the connection. You're like, yeah, of course I can say I know a lot about this,
That's true.
So things like that. So that's not something we have to only do once, like sort of just check in with it. And what else have you learned? Maybe you've taken more courses since then and those kinds of things or whatever it is. Facebook is, I think, great. Youssef had some really good points about writing Facebook as a money skill. What was it, Youssef? What did you tell me on our call? That was like so brilliant. Is he still here?
Yeah. So basically, if you're going to write Facebook ads, you gotta understand where you want to move in the future, right? Like if you want to be a media buyer or move into the media buying side of things, that will be the next step for you. Because the reality is the only people who hire Facebook ads copywriter, they are agencies, right? So if you want to work with an agency, that's great. But if you want to have your own client down the road, you're going to have to jump into the ads manager and do all the stuff, or hire somebody else and create your own kind of boutique agency.
I see.
So that's the thing. But from what I've understood is that you want to join an agency. So Facebook ads is just great.
Okay. That's
Awesome.
helpful.
Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate you reminding me of that. Yeah, that was really eye-opening when you shared that with me. I was like, oh, then because I always say, I'm always like, why aren't there more Facebook ad writers? Like, it kind of makes sense. Like it is, you know, and that's exactly why Mike Bernard evolved his business like he did. He was forced to, because he was writing all this copy and it was never getting implemented because like, I don't know how to push the buttons. He's like, let me look. And then, you know, so but anyway, so back to the agency. Yeah, Mary, you know, look, it is good. Like we've had, you know, Josh Bowen.
Yeah.
I don't think it was his first gig, but you know, Moxie was a good client for him when he needed that exact thing, was to like get his reps in, right? And gain some confidence in sort of like get cozy with the freelancer, you know, workflow. And then he, you know, has parlayed that into incredible value and just, you know, client after client after client. And he's had, I want to say he's had like 90% retainer clients. He just goes from retainer to retainer to retainer. And now here he is with Banyan Hill, and that could be you know, as bright a future as he wants it to be with a company like that. And certainly, so I think it would be cool. Definitely, you know, harass Annika, just because I'm sure she has a system, hopefully, for getting back to everybody that applies. But of course, they're busy, you know, and a week is really nothing. You know what I mean? And so they will see a lot in that persistence. It's just it's not a weakness, especially with an agency, because it's like, you know, it's like, tell me no if you're really being a pain in the ass, like, oh my god, we just got to tell this person you're not ready yet.
We're not hiring. Yeah, something.
We're not hiring her. Yeah, and that's like, you know, if you guys don't know, like we're doing this financial copywriting, you know, project with Aaron, and I had like 4 calls with Aaron to go, how are we going to make sure nobody gets disrespected or overlooked? That every single writer that applies to you will, and he took it to the next level. He's like, we'll not only respond to them, we will coach them. If we're not ready to hire them, we'll tell them exactly what to go focus on and how to try again. If you know, and I was like, awesome. Like that's all I would ever want, you know? And so yeah.
Yeah, I saw that was coming on the spicy bullets that came out the other day. I'm like, oh good. So
it's going to be great. I'm really excited to start that adventure. And it's going to be months long, but you know, we're going to be in the conversation. The first one's going to be really insightful. It's like just all the basics of what is this financial copywriting thing. And Joshua Lee Henry has decided to really like lead the charge on all this education. There couldn't be a better person in the world for this. So it's really exciting. But anyway, be persistent, look for agencies, and let's make in welcome sequences and those things seems like something agencies would need, and just keep adding to your portfolio. If it's have you written some Facebook ads, even just for your own interest, or
not yet? I just started the training this week
with Mike. Mike's
money skill training with Mike. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, good. Cool. Yeah, just have fun with it. You and Gabrielle
play
have a happy
boost.
hour.
Okay. Thanks, Kevin.
All right, is that helpful? All right,
Yeah.
good stuff, Mary. Thanks for checking in. Dina, thank you for hanging out. I know you got to go. Appreciate you being here as always. All right, Bradley. Let's talk to Bradley.
Hello.
Hey, buddy. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Is that really you, or is that your VA? Who am I talking to?
Oh, this is me.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm so excited that you got a VA, and
They're doing stuff for me. They're researching computers for me. They're taking over my website / linking a bunch of, you know, productivity stuff together. So yeah, that's kind of cool. I'm not really even thinking about that. And at some point I'm going to get a list of like computers that I can, you know, buy so I can get something better than this crappy laptop.
I love it. I had a great assistant moment today. I came into the hotel, for whatever reason, there were 2 bookings for me for this one night at a hotel. And the guy said, if I cancel it, you're going to have to pay. He's like, so you have to call. And I just said to Sarah, said, hey, here's what they said. She's like, I got it. You know, it was just like, so much I don't worry about now. It's unbelievable. It's so cool. So yeah, keep having them do stuff.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. All right, let's dive in. What do you want to focus on?
So I scheduled this one hot seat to talk a little bit about having the rate raising conversation, which the thing is, I think you know this, but I already did this with one of my I guess you could say one of my two like big clients, and it went all right, but the language that they used was kind of like the, how do you like my services are a commodity to them type of thing. They said like I'm losing, what did they say? They said like I'm losing out on like any benefit from volume, and that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Like I'm not like handing out like a product, like I'm,
Right.
I'm doing
right.
I'm doing a service. Like if I suddenly start making you double the money, then it kind of makes sense. It's fine if you pay me a little bit more, like it just mathematically. But
Right.
that one I still almost got the rate that I wanted. He also did the math wrong. He said my rate changed, but it didn't. We just doubled the work for double the pay, which is not a rate change at all. But
Right.
so I didn't.
It's a great lesson in perspective, right? Like how differently people can look at the same thing.
Yeah, I figured it wasn't worth trying to be all nitpicky on the math and potentially piss him off. So
Right.
I just avoided that. I almost got the rate that I wanted, just a little bit short, but it kind of, I don't know. I just kind of wanted to see if you have any like advice for like approaching that with the next client. Cause I have another big client that I think they just hired their own copy chief. That tells me that they're growing without even looking at their numbers. They're growing and they'll probably be fine with it. But having this, that was the first time I wanted to raise my rates. And it, like the conversation was kind of tough with that first client. Like it made me
sure.
less confident in like being able to go, hey, my rates are going up to this,
Yeah, exactly. It's the last thing we want is that to feel combative. It's just hard to recover from that. I'd love to hear from Rachel on this too. The first thing that comes to my mind, Rachel, is like that. It can mean that they're building out a team and they want to pay potentially less for writers if they're gonna put it on the copy chief to ensure quality. So it is a sign, I think, that they're growing. It's not always a sign that they're willing to pay more. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just that's the first thing that came to my mind in this scenario. And so I would want to know more about their intent. Did they say, hey, we're hiring a chief and here's how you'll work with them and here's how that'll look, or what's the
well, no, the client just kind of told me, hey, no, I'm hiring a copy chief, and he like introduced me like on Slack, like a little group conversation, and I started kind of running things through this copy chief. But the thing is also like I've had an easy time with this client before. Like I got on a call with them and told them, hey, if I want to get more involved, if you want me to get more involved with your company, this is how I got them to start paying me half up front. And he was like, yeah, sure, fine. Like we'll pay you whatever you want up front. Like he's client's very, very good dude. So cool. He's fine to just that's another thing that I think will make this one easier. He doesn't seem to care too much about the payment stuff. So
he gets the value. Are you the only other writer now outside of the copy chief, or there?
I think there's one or two. I know there's at least one other writer. There might be one more beyond that. They have I think they have like a more content focused writer, maybe, and then a more direct response person, something like that. There's not a lot though.
Who's the copy chief? Anybody I might know?
I can't remember his last name off the top of my head, so I only have a first name.
Okay.
But I did look him up. He has like a lot of past direct response experience. I looked him up on LinkedIn, so I know that much. But
all right, send me the name in the DM if you want. I'm just curious. Just because here's what I would want. I would want to know the scenario. And it's not like you're sneaking around or blah blah blah. I would just, if you can have a friendly chat with the chief and basically say, and this is where it gets a little harder, remotely. It'd be nice if you guys worked in the office together, you could grab a beer and go, how'd you end up here? What were you doing before? Or what, why, and then suddenly it's like, he's going to go, well, they brought me in because of this, and this. And you're like, oh, so it'd just be nice if you had context for, but now that doesn't mean that you should raise your fee or not raise your fee based on what you think they're thinking. It's the opposite of that. I'm just saying it'd be interesting to have the context of, and you're a senior with them, essentially. You've been there. And so I would definitely raise the rate, but because, again, it's a negotiation and he's going to come back and he might tell you more. It's like, well, we just brought in this chief and we're hoping that would, kind of bring more value and you can learn from them and blah, 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 blah. And then even if they like say we can't pay more now because of whatever, then say, okay, then how can we work together to help me make more money with you? Because clearly that's an important part of running a business as I do. And a freelancer lives and dies by their calendar. I can only sell so many hours of my brain here. And obviously, like any business, I need to go to the highest bidder. So inflation, bro. Yeah, like how because we like working together, you know what I mean? So this is a conversation between two people who have the same goal. And it doesn't have to be this weird, oh gee, I hope I say the right number thing.
Okay, yeah, and that I guess you answered the other question, which was gonna be, who would I talk to about the rates? I don't know if it would be the copy chief or the client themselves. So the client
Yeah.
themselves sounded like, when I asked him about something copy related, he was like, hey, just so you know, I'm gonna run, I want any copy related conversations through the copy chief. So it sounds like he's trying to kind of step away from the business a little bit. So I don't know if I'd talk to him, the copy chief.
How big is the team? How many, do they have an HR department, or is it just like a start,
I think it's like, I don't know, like under 10 people. It's like a few people, a tech person, the guy who runs it, a couple writers.
pretty ragtag, everybody's in the mix every day? Yeah.
Yeah.
Rachel, what are your thoughts?
I think that it was probably something that was taken badly over text. And if you guys could just jump on the phone, maybe it'd be a better conversation.
Oh, wait, this is a different
No, this
client.
is a different
That
client.
first client was. I actually got
Oh.
to rate with him. This
First
is another
client met
client.
him
This one's a
halfway,
lot.
but was kind of snotty about it and left everybody.
First one.
Okay, that makes sense. I actually thought
Yeah.
that's what it was. And then we kept talking about it and I was like, oh, maybe I
Yeah, no, this
misunderstood.
is
Okay, yeah.
a current client. They just brought in a chief. He wants to
Yes.
raise his rate, but we're trying to figure out the context of all this movement here.
Also,
I-
I've already I've already had a call with the copy chief and had some introductions and stuff.
Cool.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, then I would just not assume that dude who has unrealistic expectations is the standard for how clients would react, because I think it's very standard for people to want to raise their rates. I mean, as a business owner, I'm always kind of waiting for my team to be like, hey, so we've been working together a while now and inflation, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm always kind of waiting for that conversation to come. And whether they accept it or not, that's all just a negotiation, right? Like, oh, well, I just hired this copy chief, and you're going to be getting more training, a lot more support. And that's like a whole different conversation
Right.
than just not saying it. So I would just say, I think you handled it well. I remember reading about it with you and Angie in your conversation in the forum. And I think you handled it amazingly. I think the guy was just.
Well, Angie was really mad about it.
Yeah. Angie was like, I'm going to go beat him up for Bradley. Like she was definitely
Definitely had a mama
ready for
back.
fisticuffs. Yeah. So I would just say that guy just doesn't.
yeah, I
Unrealistic.
found it a little odd because they said they've brought on writers for like a day or a week, and then I'm basically, besides that, unless this other person has left the company, I'm basically the longest standing copy related person.
That tells you
there.
something,
So
huh?
and they said that like multiple times. So it was kind of weird to get that,
Yeah.
almost like not mad, but like, I don't know, surprised response. Like, what do you expect?
Yeah, I think that
there for
guy,
like a year.
maybe that guy was probably, if you had a conversation about it, again, like Kevin said, you were in an office together or you'd gotten on Zoom, then maybe he would have taken it differently, but he could have just been having a bad day and read your message and been like,
That
who
was
does
my
this guy
take.
think he is?
Yeah.
But I think you were right. It's time to move on. If he's going to react like that, then be like, okay, well, gold costs $1,500 and you want to buy it for 500. That's not how it works. You know what I mean? The price is the
Yeah.
price. So
Yeah, again, I always remind people this, and it's so much easier for me to say when it's not affecting my life or income, right? But anytime we decide that a negotiation is necessary, we have to accept that the outcome might be that there's no future with this person, and that doesn't mean we should like lock ourselves into a bad deal. It just means at different times we feel like we have more flexibility than others. And I can tell you this, Bradley, you're at a place in your career, your ability, your confidence where you're going to get, if you lost this client, you'd probably get a better one pretty quickly. So you really don't have anything to lose here. So I would go back to the owner, because that's a person you've been dealing with, and just say, hey, look, I know you mentioned you want everything to go through the chief. However, I want to have a check-in about my rate. And is that you or is that them? And then just, see what they say. And then have the conversation, because it's very possible the chief just isn't there to worry about your pay, that, you know, so. And then have the conversation. And that's the thing. It's a negotiation. I don't know why anybody gets offended, but like you said, in that last scenario, it can be lots of reasons, but it just, it's always exciting when I can tell somebody, like I can with you, because part of it's like an instinct. I'm intuitive, Bradley. I can see around this corner and there's only good things there. And so as long as you don't somehow act like a jerk when you're asking for more money, which I know you're not going to do, you really can't screw this up. It's either you're going to land on a number that feels good to both of you, or you're not. And through it, like you did the last one, you'll start to see what's the longevity of this. Are they, you know, talking future potential? And like I said, it might be just a conversation of, okay, you can't pay me more now. How do we get there? And see what they say. And their openness about that, and they're willing to collaborate with you on that goal, is really the future of the relationship. Is that helpful? I don't feel like I'm talking from 10,000 feet here.
No, yeah, it is.
If you need help with the wording or anything, we're happy to help with that too.
Okay, yeah, I think Angie actually gave me a couple minor recommendations, certain parts of the wording in the last one. I honestly think this client is they're just less, they're just nicer about, like, they're happy to pay me more if I'm bringing them results. Like, they don't really have any objections to that. I think it's just regaining the confidence that was just hit by the first conversation with the first client. So
that's okay. You got it out of the way. So
it's like
blaze forward.
It's like going in for the kiss and finding out the girl didn't see you that way at all. And then you're like, oh, that next kiss is going to be twice as hard to lead it for. You know what I mean? So, but don't let it hold you up.
All right, cool.
All right, Bradley, good stuff, man. Let us know how it goes for sure. It's a good learning for everybody.
Sweet. Thank you.
You're welcome, man. All right. Well, that's it, I guess. Rachel, we wrap there? That was the last hot seat.
Yeah, Joanne, I will have Alexis or Lolita from our team reach out to you to schedule the co-working call. So thank you so much. That's awesome. And yeah, we're going to go learn some stuff and hang out with tall Brian Sikansky. And we'll see you guys next call.
Yep, we'll see you there. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Appreciate
guys.
Bye-bye.